Dr. Kashey here, and I wanted to discuss how sometimes being in an alien world can make you a little vigilant. So what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Or, I guess, doesn't always stay in Vegas. If you go on vacation and act like a dork, you may come back with some souvenirs you didn't really expect to bring with you. Around your waist. An equal opposite issue can also occur, where being in an alien territory can make you hyper-vigilant. This is a complicated way of saying that you may have an eating plan when you do go on vacation and travel, but it might not be flexible enough for where you're going or what you're doing, which ultimately leads to the same sort of cycle of acting like a dork and feeling crappy about it. If a plan is too difficult to stick to, then you won't be able to stick to it. That's just the law of the land. It's, I guess, pretty righteous to try and be a perfect eater when you travel, but allowing for some flexibility is important as well. The more strict the parameters you give yourself, the further you're going to fall off that cliff when something doesn't go perfectly. It goes from rules that are too hard to follow to no rules at all. Allowing yourself to maintain or even gain a little bit gives you the flexibility to make the choices to not really go off course and do some serious damage. After all, a lot of times not going backward is just as good if not better than going forward. Is the plan you have while you're in your bubble at home working for you? Fantastic. Good. Really? Is it reasonable to continue to follow that plan when you're on vacation and traveling? If so, great. If not so, great. Do changes need to be made to facilitate a plan that you will be able to stick to? Probably. That's okay. Embrace that. Here, I think language is important. This isn't about being a loser or giving in. It's about changing your boundaries so that you can still be within your plan and not do what happens to a lot of people when they cross a bright line and then go to a point of no return. Giving yourself a little bit of a buffer will go a long way in terms of your progress. There are vacation hangovers when it comes to this sort of thing too. When you go on vacation and travel and the lifestyle choices you make are not very good, you may eat crazy for the entire time. And then you get back home and it's even more difficult to get back on track. It might be another week or 2 or 3 continuing to eat while you're on vacation before you can really position yourself and to start being consistent again. Those sorts of vacation hangovers are really things that can be avoided. Once you fall off the horse, it's pretty difficult to get back on. So giving yourself a bigger horse while you're on vacation is the way to go. So what sort of eating and activity schedule is reasonable for you when you do travel you're on vacation? What do you do for breakfast? What sorts of foods are available where you're going? Is there a chance you can eat similar things for breakfast there as you do at home? If so, totally take advantage. Similar to lunch. Lots of times when you go out to eat, you have a room with a refrigerator. Breakfast and lunch are pretty easy. Meals to eat, are very similar as they are at home, unless you're like in some crazy faraway land. But if you stay in the same country, chances are your breakfast and lunch can pretty much be consumed with similar foodstuffs. If you allow for some other suggestions, then you can be in the position to bring a lot of the food with you, especially in terms of snacks. So if you follow, the basic 3-meal 2-snack method, then you can have similar snacks as you do at home, or have travel-friendly snacks that have a longer shelf life, as previously discussed. So that pretty much leaves dinner to contend with. At this point, this is where boundaries can be a little more flexible. This is your opportunity to try something new, because most of the time, dinner is where the variability is going to be. This is especially helpful if you're the type of person who does tend to go off track heavily when you travel or go on vacation, because when you get back home, hopping back on seems like an impossibility. So, is there something you can do to make it so your hopping back on plan is easy for you? Because it's a pretty infamous problem. If you're only gone for a couple of days, and you can actually prepare your meals for the day you get home before you even leave. And then when you get home, they're still good, and you haven't had any spoiled food. If you're gone a little bit longer, you can use a similar method, but make sure they're things that can be frozen, or easily defrosted and prepared, or possibly just prepared in the microwave or on the stove with just heating, no actual cooking. Bottom line is, if you get home and have food ready and friendly for when you get back, already prepared, then hopping back on is a cinch, because you won't have to hop back on it at all. You'll have been on the whole time. It's also important that the morning after you get home, you still make sure to weigh yourself like you normally would, because this allows you to determine how your body has interpreted the stimulus you've given it while traveling. It could be in the form of too much food, not enough food, too much hydration, not enough hydration, or to see what traveling has done in terms of flying or driving. It'll still give you important information. Things won't work out perfectly, that's okay, they're not really supposed to. The important thing is that you put yourself in the position to succeed, and by having something available when you get back, hopping back on won't be a problem. Bringing the snacks with you during snack time and having meals similar to that you would eat at home, breakfast and lunch, allows you to integrate your flexibility in terms of meal choices during dinner time. So you're in a position to succeed on your plan and still enjoy your vacation. Understanding that you'll gain a few pounds just because of water flux alone will make the transition that much easier. So to wrap things up, before you go to a restaurant, look at the menu. Figure out what you're going to do. Figure out what you're going to order before you go. If that's not possible, then use the ordering system to order generically what you need at restaurants and have something made for you that's reasonable. Again, if the portions are massive or the calories are too little or too dense, have the server tell the kitchen to package half the meal up and then only serve you the rest of what you need. Then after you finish eating, you can just take it with you and you have another meal. Before you leave for vacation, make sure you know what the heck you're going to take. What you need before you go, what you need during vacation, what you need on the way home, what you need prepared so that when you get home, it's already there. Make sure your expectations are managed. Having a plan before you leave is good. Trying to be perfect is going to lead to some bright line syndrome problems where you're going to cross that line and it'll be all or nothing. And understanding that strictly sticking to a plan is not going to be perfect. You'll have to be able to deviate sometimes, even if it's on accident, and be able to hop right back on. You don't need a license to kill here, but if something does happen and you do deviate, you can just move right on with your life. As previously mentioned with things, you want to be prepared when you get back. Think about the first 3 meals you're going to consume after you get back home. Have those meals prepared. If it's a short stint, then keep them in the fridge pre-prepared. If it's a longer one, have freezer-friendly meals that you just need to defrost and possibly heat a little bit. And make sure to weigh yourself the morning after you get back. It's good to see how your body interprets the travel and the stress. Don't act like a silly goose. So to summarize, the reality is that don't have to fall off the wagon every time you go on vacation or travel. A little bit of pre-planning goes a long way. Keeping your routine consistent with 2/3 of your meals on vacation in terms of the normal foods you consume will mitigate any damage of all of it. Having meals prepared ready for you when you get back allows you to get right back on plan without having a transition period of potentially doing more damage. Hit up your support if you need anything. Foolproof method. Just plan ahead, have fun while you're there, have things ready when you get back. Do it. It's great.